Joanne and I have been trying to get the Lieutenant Governor's office to help us with is to get some cost comparisons of what our road per mile cost was before all these gimmicks and after. Because I bet you we're going to find our road cost, even with the lower prices we're seeing because of the economy, I bet you it's exploded. Because there's just no way this is an efficient way to do things.
Well, Terry, in an update, I'm not getting anywhere with Dewhurst office, so I'm going to try Corona.
Okay.
Because I think probably that Senator Corona will help us with that, so I'm going to try there.
Very good.
Who does TxDOT report to, and have they ever been audited?
Well, I don't know if you guys, are you aware of the Sunset Advisory Commission and the Sunset process, where state agencies go under Sunset? Well, TxDOT had gone through Sunset in 2009, but the bill never passed, so they got kicked to 2011, which was last session. So I've gone through 2 rounds, basically, of Sunset with TxDOT, and one of the #1 things that the grassroots have been begging for from our lawmakers is a financial audit of TxDOT, top to bottom audit. What they have had in 2010 was a management audit, having to do with kind of the bureaucratic, structural kind of inefficiencies. And you wouldn't believe what that audit said. I actually read all 628 pages of it. It was not a pretty picture. But if that's how bad their management was, I can't imagine what a financial audit would uncover. What I hear from lawmakers is they literally don't have the resources inside the state auditor's office to actually audit an agency as big as TxDOT. They would have to outsource it to a private firm, and that's in the millions of dollars to pay for. So, like Joanne said, they can come up with $7 million for this IBM software that did nothing for the schools, but they can't come up with a couple million to get financial accountability inside a very wasteful agency. So the answer is no, they have not had a financial audit. And TxDOT has an executive director that does the day-to-day operations and an executive team that handles running the agency. But the Transportation Commission, which meets once a month, there's 5 of them. They're appointed by the governor, and that's who ultimately is in charge of TxDOT and the executive director and their executive team. And so who appoints them? The governor. And the governor keeps reappointing very, very, very bad people who are into all these public-private partnerships. In fact, I've heard from employees inside TxDOT who don't like the direction that the agency has gone in the last 10 years. Really great people. You probably know, you're TxDOT district people. Some of you probably know some of them. They're wonderful people. We have bad leadership right now in the agency. And one of the things they were telling us is Goldman Sachs and all these bond guys, they're crawling TxDOT's offices. Crawling all over them. In fact, when we were there that day, Joanne, the last time we met with Phil, did you notice? There wasn't one English-speaking team of people in there. They're selling our roads to these international companies, and they're in there probably every day of the week, meeting with our reps on this.
Where are the central projects in the DFW Metroplex?
There's the LBJ, and I'm not exactly sure the project limits from memory, but it's the part you see under construction right now, basically, on the I-635. And they're actually going to put, I believe the toll lanes are going to be underneath where the existing road is, and that they're going to rebuild the free lanes on top and actually add some free lanes, supposedly. We'll see if that's how it turns out. But that's that project. They have another one called the North Terri Express. Now, the one that they're working on building right now or expanding is Interstate 820. They're referring to that as the North Terri Express because it actually involves 5 other segments. It involves parts of 121, I believe 75 maybe, parts of 35. So there's a whole bunch of things. They're trying to build a system. They're going to link together a bunch of nearby roads and just call the whole thing the North Terri Express, even though the main project is Interstate 820. So those are the 2 right now that Centra has.
Is the 635 Dallas construction going to be a toll road?
Yeah, that's the one.
North Dallas Tollway has crowds of cars all the time. How can they say it has not paid for itself?
Well, you'd have to look at their financial statements to know for sure. But they have debt that they issued for that project, and when the debt's paid, that's when you could technically scream at them to take the toll off the road. But through this legislation you saw passed last session, they can just continue to borrow against that money or go into more debt or refinance the debt and keep pushing the payoff date out further and further and further by refinancing their debt, which is why these bond guys are crawling all over the Capitol. Because the bond guys get their money on the front end, the people who are doing the deals, and then of course the bank guys get them on the back end. So it's a pretty corrupt process, and I just wish I had better news for everybody.
Where do I get a copy of What Do We Want that was on the screen?
In the back, there's flyers back there that do say that. It's called Ending Transportation Gridlock.
If the purpose of Toll 130 was to handle Laredo truck traffic, why don't we just charge tolls to those trucks?
There actually is, down in the valley right now, the SH-130 stops at I-10 in Seguin area. So this was part of the original Trans-Texas Corridor 35 project, this SH-130 was. So it doesn't go all the way to Laredo, but you can connect to Laredo using 281 or 35 and come in through Bexar County and then get on Centris Toll Road. There's actually RMAs, or these regional mobility authorities, all over in the valley. They have them in Cameron County, Hidalgo County, and they want to put tolls on all the international bridges. They want to put tolls on a bunch of their roads and loops around their cities to try and capture tolls from the truck traffic. But here's a problem we have. Most of them are going to be Mexican trucks, not U.S. trucks. In the toll viability studies for Hidalgo County's international bridge crossings and some of the roads they want to do there, their toll viability studies show they expect an 80% failure to pay rate from Mexican cars and a 60% failure to pay rate from Mexican trucks. So I don't think we're going to get the money from these people that we think we're going to get, because they know that they're not going to pay. Everything's electronic. They don't want to do toll booths anymore because that's labor costs that these private companies don't want to cover. So they do it all electronic, and that whole mess is a whole different ball of wax. We won't go into that today, but if you want to know about the problems with electronic toll collection, let me tell you, people get erroneous bills, they get false bills, they can take away your car registration, they can even throw you in jail for failure to pay a debt, which is against our civil rights, but anyway, it's a mess.
It seems like we are losing most of these battles. Have we had any successes in reversing or stopping these corrupt policies?
It is like putting a rock uphill, just like Joanne said, with so many things, whether it's the budget, schools, Medicaid, immigration. It's the same way with transportation. But I can tell you, we have stopped a litany of horrible bills in the last 8 years. We haven't been able to get our good stuff through other than the repeal of the Trans-Texas Corridor. So, and that happened because there was a Texas-sized revolt, mostly from East Texas. See, the 35 hearings had about half the number of people that protested to the Trans-Texas Corridor 69, which was coming through here, up to Texarkana. And when 28,000 Texans went on the record against that road project, that got their attention. So really, it's a numbers game. And that's why I come and talk to your groups. That's why Joanne goes and talks to all these groups, because we have to wake up the grassroots. And it's really, it's up to us to put a stop to it. And we can't give up. There's too much at stake, as you can tell. Our kids aren't going to have freedom to travel. They're going to inherit so much debt, there isn't going to be a way for them to get around. They're going to be stuck on substandard frontage roads instead of a highway system. And mobility is going to come to a screeching halt because you're not going to have the way, the ability to pay 75 cents a mile. I know our team, our 17-year-old is our oldest girl. She would love to have a license right now. One, we can't afford the car insurance on a team. But two, I don't know how these teenagers can afford a car unless mom and dad can pay for all of it for them. I mean, they don't make enough money at these jobs to be able to do that. So I don't see how our young people, college students, and even young professionals, because of all the student debt they incur, we're making driving plain unaffordable. And this is about our freedom to travel and defending it. And so anything worth defending, it's going to be freedom and liberty. And even if we seem like we're losing a lot of battles, it's worth doing, because we can't lose. At the end of the day, we don't want to keep losing more ground. If anything, we're going to try and gain ground.
Do you know anything about the last sections of Tyler's Toll 49 having under-spec bridges?
Say that again,
Specifications, in other words.
Not the right
They're
specifications.
narrower, and I was told they were under spec.
That could be very true. I don't know the specifics of the engineering like that on that road, but I do know that the rest of the loop they haven't completed yet. They want to turn Loop 49 into one of these P3s, and they're likely to take over some of the existing 49 in the deal. So it's a bad thing. You got to watch that really, really closely. I would encourage you actually to attend your local RMA meetings. They always meet during the day, so working people have a hard time policing this stuff. But you wouldn't believe what's in their financial statements and their toll viability studies and what you can find out from that. And they're likely to come after property tax and sales tax to subsidize that thing. So be watching for that. You don't want them doing that to you.
Well, on April the 9th, and we'll send out an alert, there's going to be a meeting downtown. I think it may be in the commissioner's courtroom. I don't know yet, but it's a meeting at 6:30. I've been asked to speak on issues that are important to grassroots. And I can just tell you right now, part of it's going to be this stuff, and it's going to be that multimodal facility that they keep telling me that they're not going to build, but TxDOT's got records of the project.
It's
So
probably in the long-range plan.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. So anyway, why don't we oppose Highway Loop 49 and ask the public not to use it?
You can boycott it, sure. The problem with boycotting, see, like even Centra's Toll Road, there's still a way that it stings the taxpayer because that federal loan partially funded a good portion, almost half of Centra's project. If they go under, the taxpayers are out that money. So we can boycott and try to not have them get enough traffic to take these roads, but at the end of the day, I fear, this is what I fear by doing that, is if enough of them start to fail and go under, we're going to have some draconian bailout, tax hike, something to bail these things out because they're just not going to let that many roads fail. Now, ultimately, if it was a truly private road and all of it was funded by private money, not any tax money, if it failed, the state would get it back for free because we just take over the project because the private operator didn't pay its bills. But that's not how they structure the deals. They structure it with taxpayers as a hedge to make sure that that won't happen. So that's the hard part about boycotting the roads. It's kind of a double-edged sword. But we definitely can send a message. If they're not getting enough traffic, they're going to have to do something. And that's where showing up to some of these local meetings and talking with your county commissioners and such, who controls your RMA board, to let them know this is unacceptable. We want that road to be a free road. What do we need to do to pay off that debt and make it a free road?
Well, I actually have a copy of the toll viability study done on Loop 49 before they exempted it from public access, and I can tell you that that road, they've always known it
It's
would
not
not be
gonna pay.
toll viable. That
That's
road
right.
will never have enough tolls on it to pay for itself.
And they should have never built it. I mean, this is what just kills you. They should have never built it if it wasn't financially sustainable.
May I use any of your written information in letters to the editor?
Oh, of course, we encourage that. Sorry. Always feel free. There is no plagiarism with me, okay? So I don't care if you take an article I've written, put your name on it, and you put it into the paper. We just want to get the word out, okay? And the Texas Turf, we have just thousands of articles archived. You can do all kinds of word searches and find out just about anything on there if it relates to transportation, P3s, and Texas road policy. So please do that. We encourage you to do that. We've got to talk it up and get the community awake on this issue.
Okay, we got just a couple more. TxDOT requires local governments to comply with the National Traffic Code to set the warrants before you set speed limits. Does TxDOT follow the National Traffic Code?
They'll tell you they did. But let's just talk about how they set the speed limit to 85 miles per hour. You're supposed to conduct a traffic study, which is what this person asked. And that's true. And they have certain standards they're supposed to comply with of how you set a speed limit, and what's safe and what's not. They had a single TxDOT engineer, not an independent party. They had a TxDOT engineer go out and drive on SH 130 going 85 miles per hour with no traffic, no one coming on or off. This was before the road was even open to traffic. And said that whatever speed he was driving at, what was comfortable, is how they set that speed limit. Well, of course, we knew that they needed to hit 85 as the number because that's what was going to give them $100 million. So conveniently, that's what he hit. So that was their version of a traffic study.
You know, it's one of those things, Terry, that people are probably shocked still. I mean, I could hear the gasp as you were speaking. You couldn't make this stuff up.
You can't.
Really, you
Truth
can't.
is stranger than fiction.
Have you done an analysis of contributions by Centra, road construction companies, subcontractors, bond lawyers, et cetera, to certain people's campaigns?
Well, I can tell you that Senator Nichols has got more money from the road lobby than even statewide office holders receive. So that can kind of open your eyes a bit. But again, the reason why they think Transportation Committee is a plum appointment is because they get a heap of money from all those people that they just cited. A lot. Now, it is very hard. The Texas Ethics Commission reports, are ridiculous. Lobbyists can call themselves consultants. They don't put the company name necessarily. And so you have to kind of know the players of some of the executives at Zachary or at Cintra or something like that for you to even track the money, because they don't necessarily tell you it's Cintra. So it's hard to track, but the studies I've done in the past show that every one of those transportation committee members is pretty well bought and paid for with special interest money.
Well, and you can see in the testimony, the public testimony against the bills,
Oh,
you will
yes.
have, I think just this week, we had like 10 people oppose bills and like 2 or 3 people from the lobby
Paid to be
support
there.
the bills. They're paid to be
That's
there.
right.
And guess who they sided with?
The special
The
interest.
lobbyists, yeah.
The one that paid them.
That's right. That's how they can be tone deaf real easily with the money that gets greased.
Okay, we got about 3 more. What is the status of Central Type's bill to pay off TxDOT's highway debt? That's actually in a hearing
Yes.
on Monday.
It's up for hearing on
A
Monday.
hearing on Monday. Now, Bob, I don't know that Terry would even know this, but we do need to look into it. At the TxDOT office, why do I have to go through 2 high-security doors to get to a Mexican bank teller window to speak with someone?
At the TxDOT office at 155 and toll 49.
So it's like their text tag office?
High security. Oh yeah, it's their construction thing. There's 2 security doors, and then there's bulletproof glass at the secretary.
What do you mean?
That's
Are you
crazy.
saying that it's a Hispanic
No,
teller?
no, I mean, it's really high security.
No, what are you saying here about Mexican bank teller window? What does that mean, Bob?
Well, that's the only place I've seen bulletproof glass an
Oh,
inch
you're
and a
saying
half
that it
thick.
looks like it's an entrance.
Like
With a
border
speak-
security
with a
or something.
speaker.
Okay.
Okay, since I'm not familiar with what going into a Mexican bank feels like, I didn't know. Okay, Terry, and here's the last question. When is your movie coming out?
Oh, goodness. We actually do
You need
have,
one.
We actually do have a gentleman who's a filmmaker who's done things for the History Channel, Discovery Channel, and Hollywood Features, who lives in San Antonio and grew up there, who came to one of our early debates with TxDOT back in 2006, I guess it was, and took this cause under his wing. And there's actually already been 4 documentaries made on aspects of our fight. And it's called Truth Be Told, and that was up on the slide at the end. It's Truth, B-E, and then T-O-L-L-E-D, kind of a play on words, truthbetold.com. You can watch some of the trailers. You can actually watch the movie. He's put it up in different segments up online. And he's actually working on a 5th film right now on the 281 project in San Antonio and all the corruption that's gone behind that. So there actually are some movies made. I wouldn't say they're necessarily about me, but you know what I'm saying. They're documenting the cause. So thank you for being so patient and
Y'all show your appreciation. And I'm going to ask you to please pray for Terry and for Roger and their family, because as I said, every single day Terry Hall has 10 reasons not to do what she does, but she's fighting for future generations, for liberty in our state. Doug?